Hello, I am Tara, and this is my mother.
Jill Cooper.
And we wrote the Dining on a Dime cookbook. She's holding the book because we can't figure out how to get Google Hangouts to work. So we're doing this on our own without mics, so we hope this video turns out. But today we are talking about how to save $12,000 in 1 year using our Dining on a Dime cookbook. Show it again, Mom.
Show it
Gotta
again.
pay the bills. Dining on a Dime cookbook, which you can get in the description below. You really can save $12,000 in 1 year, and we have actual testimony from the lips of people telling us this. So please, you guys can email us all you want, but people are actually doing these things that we're going to tell you and spending $12,000 in 1 year. They just don't add it up.
Yeah, the one couple, didn't you say it was like $22,000 that they spent on going
One couple, so I got an email when we did our How to Stop Eating Your Way into Debt article. One couple emailed me. She said they spent $22,000 in 1 year eating out.
So we're being very, very conservative here.
Very conservative. So how this video came about was I was talking to a gal, and she said, I'm working 2 jobs and I'm really super tired, and it's just my husband and I, so we'll go out to eat 4 times a week at $40 each.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wait a minute, you're working 2 jobs. Do you realize one of those jobs you could cut if you weren't eating out?
Mm-hmm.
She could cut out that job.
Yeah.
Just to pay. She is working. This drives me crazy, people. Get it in your head. You are working an extra job just to pay for eating out.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's like I say, people don't put the pen to the paper to actually add up the numbers and do the figuring. They just hand the credit cards when they get finished eating. They just hand the credit card to them, and it gets paid, and then the bill comes in and mixed with everything else. And so they have no clue. They don't add the numbers up. You've got to add the numbers up.
So you added the numbers up for a family of 4 going out to eat 4 times a day. And what is it?
What do we come up with?
Oh, okay. I thought you had it written down. Sorry. It's $200 a week, which is $1,000 a month, which is $12,000 a year. Yes, I'm yelling. You guys, seriously, $12,000 a year eating out because you're too tired to cook? We have solutions on what to do if you're too tired to cook, and that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing, too, you've got to be of the mind you want to do this. There's no use sitting here listening to all these tips and everything, and then you stop watching the video, and you just go back into the same habit. People don't realize sometimes these actions are just habits they get into.
Exactly.
They're automatically tired at the end of the day, so they automatically go out to eat. If you will think about a different option before you get too tired, think of a different option, and then follow through with it and start breaking that habit. And like any other habit, you have to do it really slow. If you're eating out 4 to 5 times a week, don't just all of a sudden stop eating out. You'll last 1 week, 2 at the tops doing this. So start out by cutting out, say 2 times going out to eat. That's almost $100.
That's a lot of money.
Saving. You're still saving. Even if you can only cut out 1 or 2 times, you're still saving money. So start out slow and do that for a couple of weeks. And then, the next couple of weeks, cut out 3 times. And so you just have to do this slow. Another thing is you need to really think about, I heard this story one, you need to think about, are you really too physically tired to not cook, or are you just mentally tired? And the thought is overwhelming, because I remember when I worked the 3 jobs, and we didn't go out to eat, but I would sit all day long. If I didn't do this, I finally found the secret later on. But before I found the secret was, I would think all day long, oh, I need to figure out what to have for supper. What am I going to have for supper? And then at work, I'm mentally going around, what do I have in the freezer? What do I have? And it wore my brain out, literally. Mm-hmm. It wore me out.
It's very exhausting.
Exactly, because it pops up all the time. You're trying to do your work, your stuff at work.
They insist on eating every day. How dare them?
I know.
Children.
The kids, I know your family. What are they thinking of? They want food every day, huh?
I don't know why they insist on this. I think we need to have a 4-day fasting every week.
I know. I agree with you. But I heard this story one time to show you how much it is the mental thing behind all of this often. And that is this gal, she was cooking dinner and she was just hollering, I'm just so tired. And she didn't want to clean up the kitchen after she cooked dinner. And she kept telling her husband, I'm just exhausted. I can't get this kitchen cleaned from dinner. I'm just too tired. And the husband said, oh, he said, I'm sorry, but that's okay. I just thought maybe we'd go out dancing this evening. And she said, oh, give me 15 minutes and I'll have my clothes changed and be ready to go. And so she had energy, physical energy to dance, but she didn't have enough energy to clean up the kitchen, sink or the dishes and stuff. So that shows you a lot of this is just your mental attitude. And that's another thing about cleaning up the kitchen. Keep your kitchens clean. So start slow. Be honest with yourself. Am I mentally wearing myself out doing this, or am I actually physically tired? So the other third thing is to keep your kitchen clean, because I don't want to go in. You arrive home from work or from picking the kids up from school and there's this messy kitchen to try to even begin to think. You haven't figured out what you're going to have, and then you've got the messy kitchen and you just say, I give up. Let's just go out to eat type of thing.
And I will say, we do 3 live shows a week, and I am physically exhausted to the point where I physically cannot get out of bed. I mean, I lay on the couch and I cannot move. So my kitchen after the shows looks like a disaster. It looks like a bomb hit. But if one of the kids can't get it cleaned up for whatever reason, yes, most of the kids do the dishes, don't give me emails, but if for some reason, kids don't always just clean it up the way they're supposed to. You try, but I always, even if I can't do the dishes that night, which I try to do, make sure first thing in the morning before anything else happens, those dishes are done. While I'm waiting for the boys to get their shoes on for school or whatever, I just get going and do what I can and keep, even
if you can only do a little section at a time, you just,
So my whole point of that is, don't give me this excuse that you're too tired. I know what physical exhaustion you're going to drop dead feels like. And even then, I wait until I have the first opportunity, and that's the first thing I do is get it completely cleaned up.
And that's another thing I wanted to mention. We're not talking about, there will be exceptions, because we're going to have somebody do the exceptions. And we're not talking about the exceptions. Once again, I had a newborn. I didn't even have a kitchen. It was hard. I washed my dishes in the bathtub. It was hard for me to keep on top of things.
Which that video is on you. Go to Mom's Penny Pinch Mama series, and you can find that video about how she didn't have a kitchen with newborns.
Yeah, and so I know what it feels like. I was up with a colicky baby all night, and I wouldn't even get to sleep until like 4:30 in the morning, and then you would be up at 5:30 in the morning because you were a toddler. And I get an hour or 2 of sleep, and I know total exhaustion. And sometimes you can't. If the whole family's been sick for a week or 2, those are the exceptions to the rule. Those times, I give you permission. You may have to go out and grab a fast food, but save your going out to eat for those times. We're talking on a daily, weekly, regular basis doing this, how to get out of that habit of doing it all the time. So, another thing, people use the excuse that it takes too much time to cook a meal,
Oh, that drives me crazy. I spent 15 minutes cooking dinner. 15
minutes?
I
was going to say, you remember when they came out with the 30-minute meals? And I'm thinking,
who would spend 30 minutes? I know.
I don't spend 30. If I had to spend 30 minutes cooking a meal every night, I would never, ever cook,
I know. I was so mad. I'm like, why would you spend 30 minutes cooking dinner?
I know. And that was just prep time, too. Usually that was just the prep time. That wasn't even the actual cooking. And we watch so many shows on TV go on the internet and we watch these gourmet chefs and stuff that, oh, we feel in our mind we have to do an elaborate, fancy meal. And I'm going to give you examples, a ton of examples of menus and food ideas that will just take you maybe 10 minutes, 15 at the tops, to cook a meal that you can put down for your family and stuff. You're getting ready to say something.
I was just going to say, it is okay to eat a bowl of cereal, people.
I know.
I mean, seriously, at the very, very minimum, you're saving yourself $50 if everybody just sits down and eat a bowl of cereal, and that's all they want to eat anyway. And don't give me that baloney that it's not healthy. You have your dairy, which is very healthy, protein and calcium. You have your Cheerios, which is very healthy, all your minerals. Throw in an apple, throw in a glass of juice, and you've got a decent meal. We're not in Ethiopia here.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to explain to them, how they can do that. Because, well, let me backtrack, because I will get into that. You don't need to do a 10-course meal to do this. And I want to touch on, but I'll get on that, on the preservatives and that type of thing, No, that's okay. That's okay. I don't blame you for jumping in. But before we get into that, real quick, sometimes we say, we're talking on the time, how much time it takes to fix these meals. I have meals that I'm going to give you today that will take the same amount of time as you actually driving to a restaurant, parking the car, going in, waiting to get seated, getting seated, waiting for the waitress to come over, take your order, and by the time you just get that section done, not even waiting for your food, but just get that part done, I have meals that you can already have had on the table for that amount of time.
And cleaned up.
Yeah, you can do it in the comfort of your home, in your sweats, your comfortable clothes, and not in a noisy, loud restaurant. Now, the kids may be noisy and loud at home, but you know what I mean, a little more comfortable. And so when you holler about it takes too much time, every meal I make just about takes less time than going into a restaurant, waiting for my food to be prepared there, waiting for the waitress to do all her rigmarole, paying the check and leaving and getting in the car, all this, and especially driving time. Just the driving, depending on how far, but just the 10, 15-minute driving time there and back to the restaurant, I can have a whole meal done easily.
Yep.
So don't use the excuse it takes too much time.
Think about it. You didn't say this, but that's like 2.5 hours it takes you to do that.
You mean every week?
Well, every time you go out to eat.
Every time you go out to eat.
You spend at least an hour at the restaurant. It takes you a half an hour to get there, to get seated, and all that. It takes you a half an hour to drive home.
I know. And then you're not even including, when we say like the $50 or so for a family of 4 to go eat, we're not including necessarily tips maybe, or the gas. You're taking gas money. And like you said, the time, you could take that couple of hours of time and spend it doing other things that need to be done at home, like cleaning the house or doing
cleaning your sink. Cleaning your sink.
Cleaning your kitchen up, or just even relaxing.
Well, yeah, and if your kitchen is in that bad of a disaster, you need to take an entire week and say, we are eating nothing but toaster waffles and cereal for a week for dinner while I get my kitchen cleaned up so I can start cooking. It's okay.
Well, here's another thing, too. Let's say you spend, what do we figure, $50 and going out, let's just say 5 times a week, or 4 times, $200. We'll do it that way. You spend $200 going out to eat. Do you realize that you could take and hire somebody to clean your house for 3 hours, pay them $25 an hour? That's $75. You could hire somebody to clean your house and you still have extra money left.
Yeah.
And you'd have a clean kitchen and you could cook in it then.
Yep. You could pay someone to come in and clean your kitchen.
You could pay somebody to come in and clean your kitchen, clean your whole house for 3 hours each week, and that'd be $75. And if you're spending $200 to go out to eat, you'd be, saving $125 almost.
Yep.
So think these, and you'd have a whole house clean on top of that, So think this stuff through. Just don't go I was telling Tara, sometimes I feel like we're in the zombie apocalypse already.
Yeah.
Because people are just walking. They have convinced themselves they're so exhausted. They don't know what they're doing. They're not adding things up. They're not figuring things out, and they're just walking around numbly, going through the motions of life.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to stop.
And I had a mom email. It was a really nice email. She was a really sweet lady. And I kind of had to give her some tough love because she was like, we got $4,000 in credit card debt. I'm a stay-at-home mom. Should I get a second job to pay this off? And she said, well, I do have a drive-through coffee problem.
I know.
You answered your own question right there. $3,000 in 1 year just for a coffee, and you don't have to go get a job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. So start thinking. Don't be like one of these zombies just going through the motions. Figure out why you're so exhausted, figure out why you're zombified, and start fixing it. There's lots of information now that you can get that'll help you with that.
And we're not talking about, Mike and I will go on a sit-down dinner date like once or twice a month. I'm not talking about that at all. We're talking about the chronic problem here.
A habit of just going out to eat because you're too tired.
Yeah.
Now, what was it you talked about before? Oh, I know, the preservatives and stuff. And eating the cereal and stuff. Now, I know we're just going to get emails and land blasted, so I have to qualify this like we do every time. There's a point. I believe in eating healthy. I have been studying food for almost 50 years now. That's how old I am. That's really a long time if I said it out loud. But I have actually been studying food, healthy things, and I mean, I study it. I don't just look at, I want to eat organic, so I'm going to look at all the pros on eating organic. I looked at the other side. I look at both sides of every coin in any food issue that I study, and I studied long hours. You don't understand. I spent probably just this week on just this one video, 6 hours on things that I was studying on the internet, planning, figuring out. 6 hours just for this one. So when I say I study, I really studied this food. So I know health issues. I know what's healthy. I know what's out there that's the in thing for healthy. And we're going to talk about foods that have preservatives in them. I know.
Mother, how dare you?
We're going to talk about foods that you keep in the freezer that you eat out of a can instead of...
You eat canned food, Mom!
I know, and you've got to realize...
Yeah.
We're not... First of all, if you're really panicky about that, this is only for a season. We're telling you to eat like this with these fast, quick meals for, a month, maybe 2 months, until you get out of that habit of going to eat out all the time, till you get your life under control enough where you can maybe start adding a little bit healthier, if you want to, foods, more foods from scratch type of thing, although I don't necessarily think that's, equals healthiness all the time. But, you'll be changing your eating habits, and you have to do it one step at a time. So for this first step of getting out to going to eat, we're going to change. You may have to eat some preservatives. You may have to eat some canned and frozen foods to do this. So don't panic. You can change. And once you get that under control, then you can change the next step in your life if you want to and go on to the next thing. So please don't holler about that. And another thing, I remember so well, great-grandma, we have such a weird mindset now about food. It's our God. I'm sorry. People spend more time reading the food labels on their cans. I probably shouldn't even say this, but they do. They spend more time reading the food labels on their cans of food and the food boxes than they do their Bible half the time. I mean, seriously. Yep. And so they almost make a God. You talk about God. You say, oh, you get tense. Should I eat that? Should I not eat that? Do you realize the stress you feel every time you tense up and trying to figure out whether you should eat or not eat that is causing more damage to your body than any preservative you're eating?
Yep.
You see what I mean? Stress causes illnesses, causes heart attacks, causes obesity, because you get stressed out, and a lot of people eat when they get stressed out. And so you may be eating organic food because you're stressed and tense, but you're eating a lot of it, and it has just as much calories as anything with preservatives in it. So this is another whole show, I know, and I won't get into it too much, but you got to rethink all this.
You got to get over it.
Yeah.
I mean,
seriously. I always
seriously.
think of great grandma. She said she lived on a ranch in no man's land. She had to grow her own garden, and she did
In the
great
Dust Bowl.
in the Dust Bowl. She had to grow her own
Depression.
garden, do all of her canning. You know, they did butchering, they did the whole shebang. I remember her saying when they came out with like boxed macaroni and cheese and canned goods that she could buy that she didn't have to can herself, she was all over it. You know, all over it she was. And I thought our grandmothers and great grandmothers were so much wiser than what we were. They took what they had at the time and did the best they could with it, and they adapted to what was new. And I remember the noodle thing. I've told this story a million times. The family loved great grandma's noodles. She made these, I always heard about it before I got married even. She made these noodles from scratch. She spent hours preparing these things, and they were so delicious. She used everything from scratch, you know, blah, blah, blah. So after we got married, I asked her, I said, what is your secret? These noodles were so good. How do you make them? What's your secret? She said, I've never ever told anybody else in the family this, but let me show you. And she takes me to her freezer and she pulls out a package of what are they called? Remus?
Something
It's
like that.
Reemas, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Frozen noodles in a plastic bag. And she said, this is what I use, and everybody thinks I do these wonderful homemade things. So, you know, you got to get over these phobias because that's obsession. Our food has become an obsession.
Oh, yeah.
And anything that's an obsession is worse for us physically than the obsession itself, you know, like than the food is itself. So enough said on that. Now I'm going to give some ideas of what to do to get out of this. You're going to have to use convenient foods, and you're thinking, well, that's expensive. And yeah, sometimes they are. But it's much cheaper, I found, because I put pen to paper. It's cheaper to use some convenient foods and convenient items than going out to eat. So this is how you start out, and that's the part where I say you start out with a lot of these convenience foods, and then you can start weaning yourself, you know, to do other things to save more money.
Well, and spending $1.50 on 4 TV dinners, if that's what you need to do, is way cheaper than $50.
Yeah.
For a meal.
And yeah, and the thing is,
this is not rocket science, people. It's not rocket science.
And you need to kind of figure out what is stalling you on not wanting to do the cooking. Is it because, like me, I didn't want to have to do the dishes because I had no dishwasher. And I dreaded fixing the meal because then I'd have, even though the kids helped, there was still a lot of dishes that I had to deal with every day and that type of thing. Okay, so is that bothering you? Buy paper plates. Buy, you know, paper bowls. The not paper, but, you know, the disposable bowls is what I'm trying. Disposable pans. I found pans at my Kroger store the other day. I could get, it was 3 or 4 8-inch pans for 50 cents.
Yeah.
That's a good deal.
You can get them for $4 at the dollar store, easy.
Even if you have to pay full price, it's cheaper to pay full price for a disposable pan for you to cook in than to go out to eat.
Yep.
So use paper plates, use disposable pans, and if you have to use plastic forks, usually I always use regular silverware because it's not that hard to, you know, do the silverware. Use foil. Buy foil. Tara used silk pad a lot of times. I hate silk pads, and they're good when it comes to sticky candies and sticky stuff. And if you have the time and energy to use them, use them. But I hate them because I always wash the things and they're hanging. I'm thinking, now what do I do with it? Because here I've washed it in my sink. I have no place to hang it, you know. If I hang it over the chair, it drips on the floor.
Well, I just drape mine over the dishes in the drainer, but yeah.
Yeah, well, my counter is so tiny, I don't have room to hang it or anything. So make it
work for what you need. Don't.
So so Tara can get by with it. I can't. So I will take my cookie sheets. I always cover them in foil. And now I even use parchment paper a lot because people don't realize you can reuse that parchment paper. It's more expensive than foil, But if I'm doing something sticky, then I will use the parchment paper. And like my cookies, I know I can't wait to hear the looks on I wish I could see the looks on people's faces when I say this. I use the same sheet of parchment paper over and over to bake my cookies. I know.
And you do it for like 3 or 4 months.
Well, I brush the crumbs off. There's nothing left on there. And you think, oh, but all the germs. Okay, let's think about this, people. This is the zombie attitude. You're putting these cookies in a 350, 400 degree oven to bake. What germs are going to be left?
Well, but Mom, we need to wear our gloves making the cookies now. So this is the glove week because I got a comment that said your viewers would really appreciate it if you would wear gloves making your food. So this has been the glove.
I know, people don't realize you put those pans in an oven that cooks everything. On top of that, I even have called the health department. When I say I study this stuff, I am not joking. So I called the health department on when I was doing the gingerbread man to see what the health requirements were and everything. They said, oh, cookies, there's no rules, there's no regulations because they're a non-toxic food. First of all, my first thought is, who sells toxic food? You know what?
Who sells toxic cookies?
Yeah. Who would sell toxic? But what they're meaning is they can't do food poisoning. You can't get food poisoning from a cookie. That's why I eat so many of them. That way it's safer for my body. See, it's my logic there. Yeah, we should all go on a cookie diet because we know we won't die of anything eating a cookie diet. So, but anyway, so you can reuse the parchment paper. So think of these things to make your life easier as far as baking and doing the cookie. You won't have as much cleanup, maybe one pan or something that you boil something, no dishes. And so start out the first month or so using all these convenient items. Then later on, when you're trying to wean yourself off, plan on, okay, Monday's a hard day at work. Monday's a hard day at home because I'm running errands, doing this, that. Those days, then start planning that's the day I'm going to do my convenient foods. Or that's the one day we're going to go out to eat. Think of it that way. The rest of the time, I'm going to do regular cooking. Prepare for these things a little bit. You know, you've got to prepare. You know when you're going to get tired, probably, most of the time. So prepare for those days. Another thing, and I didn't mention it, I'll go ahead and put it in now. When I talk about preparing, the thing that I finally discovered that helped me the most to get this heaviness that I had all day long worrying about what I was going to have for dinner, the thing that helped me the most was either the night before or that morning, I would write down, like in 3 words, what I was going to have for dinner. I'm not talking a menu plan for a month. You're really tired, aren't you?
I am. I'm sorry.
I know.
I had to go face the teacher at school, and I was watched. So just so you guys know, so found out the school is teaching our kids that aliens brought us our technology as science. So as a mother, you know, I kind of get a little riled up. So I was watching this alien show last night, and then I had to go to the school this morning, and I'm just like, okay, so sorry. I don't mean to be looking like I'm dozing. Sorry, Mother.
But the main thing that helped me probably more than anything else, I mean, it really made it change my life.
This changes everything.
Yeah, I figured out that morning that I'm going to have chicken for dinner, and I pulled the chicken out of the freezer and had it sitting ready and waiting. Or I was going to have French bread with spaghetti that night, so I pulled the French bread and the little packet of hamburger out of the freezer. So what that does was 2 things. My mind did not think all day long anymore about what I was going to have. It went out of the window, you know, it was gone. I relaxed. I could do all my work, whether at home or at work, better. And then another thing, that afternoon, late afternoon, if I was really tired and I thought, you know, I'm so tempted to go out to eat or to do something else, I've got that food already thawed in the refrigerator. And so there was a part of me that thought, I don't want to waste that food. You know, it's already to me, getting it thawed out and knowing what I'm doing is like 75%.
Well, yeah, if you have to fight thawing the food 5 minutes before dinner, believe me, I'm the expert and I know how to thaw food 5 minutes before dinner. But, you know.
Just that can be overwhelming.
Yeah. just thinking, okay, now I got to do a sink full of water, and then I got to bleach it, and then I got to do all this just because I didn't pull the chicken
do the
out.
microwave timing thing and all that. No, and I didn't want to waste that food that was in the refrigerator too, so that was a little bit more motivation. Sometimes I would go even a step farther, and like if I could fix anything up the night before. For example, if I could had the chicken already thawed, and I would just put it in the pan and cover it and put it in the refrigerator, I've already got it in the pan. Yep. All I have to do is just stick it in, the oven in the morning or whatever. And so do anything you can like that to help.
In our Crock-Pot ebook, I'll put the link to the description below, but in our Crock-Pot ebook, if you love the Crock-Pot, go in there and find the recipes and look. We also have in Dining on a Dime, let me find it real quick, except I think, Mom, you're the page 11. Can you lift it up to page 11 for them to see? So,
sure.
In our Dining on a Dime, a lot of these tips start on page 11 there, and then we have 3 or 4 pages of
and then
planning
on
your
the next
meals.
page is, as a matter of fact, I'm using these pages today.
There you go. So all these ideas are in Dining on a Dime on page 12 and 13. And I just wanted to point that out so you guys don't have to come back and watch the video again. It's right there in the book, already laid out for you. Mom worked really hard on the menus because Mom's the menu person. I don't do menus. Mom does the menus.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there's like 6, 11, 12 menus just on this one page.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I was going to tell you. On menus, when you plan out, well, I'll get to that in a minute, I guess. Sorry,
I didn't mean to throw you off track there. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's fine, because I'm glad you did, because I am going to be teaching out of this today on these pages, and that's what I'll be using, some of the stuff. But what were we talking about before we got on?
We were talking about freezing your food, and if you just get it out of the freezer and defrost it.
Oh, out of the freezer and get that much done. So then the next thing to do is sit down, and I am not a big one. Oh, I know I got off because you were talking about the crock-pot stuff. You don't have to. I am not a believer in mega cooking. I mean, you can. If you do mega cooking, you go for it. Anything that's working for you, keep doing it.
If you use the crock-pot bags, they have crock-pot bags that you can put everything in. If you do that, okay, that's fine. If it works for you,
And I shouldn't say I'm not a big. For me, it never worked because, first of all, people put 30 days worth of stuff in their freezer. In the past 8 months, my refrigerator, and it's not because of the refrigerator, it's like the power outage or something. I have lost 2 freezers full of food in 8 months' time. I don't want to have hundreds of dollars of food in my freezer, and the power goes out, and I lose it all.
Yeah.
So I'm leery of doing mega cooking. I did mega cooking for a woman for a long, long time. She worked full time. She would bring me all of her food over and the disposable pans or containers to put them in. And I would do all this cooking to get food for her done up, so her to take it home and put it in her freezer. That was a job, literally. It was a lot of hard work. I can't get myself to do that big of a, spend a whole day, 2 days doing this, preparing food because for as handy as that is, I still, when I get ready to use it, I still have to pull it out, put it in the crock pot, remember to thaw it out, or get it out to thaw or whatever. And then I have a crock pot sometimes to clean up, or I still have dishes and plates. And that part is what bothers me of the meal. The throwing things together is not that intense. It's the cleanup. And you still have the cleanup with these, when you do the mega crock pot meals, you still have that cleanup. So that's why
I have fibromyalgia, and it hurts my hands to try and hold that crock pot up to clean it. But, there are crock pot bags. People swear by them. I've never used them. And if you want to do something, but you know what? When I do that, it always leaks. I always get a hole, and then it leaks.
I know. Now, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I noticed everybody keeps saying, well, I do my crock pot because it saves me so much electricity. And I'm going to pop in here and tell everybody, once again, I thought, is this true? I'd never really checked it out. I never condone something until, or agree with something until I check it out thoroughly. I went and did a studied on this. They said that you use way, way more electricity using your crock pot than your oven. And they said depending on the oven you have and the crock pot you have, that number can be almost, you can use almost double the amount of electricity using your crock pot. And the logic, what is why that is your oven is insulated, heavily, heavily insulated. And you set it at 350 and you turn it on and it reaches 350 and the oven will cycle on and off. And it'll stay at 350 for a long time. And then when it starts going down, it'll kick on and reheat. The crock pot does not do that. It pulls energy in at 350 all day long, nonstop, where the oven cycles, and the cycles are long enough in between.
I find my foods cook better in the oven than the crock pot.
They're not, there's a different consistency to food. It's kind of like the difference between microwave cooking and oven cooking. Yeah. Crock pot cooking and oven cooking. And a lot of people that swear by the crock pot, I think sometimes they haven't done stuff in their oven as much, and they haven't that same thing and haven't compared it.
Which is why I don't use a crock pot. That's why I don't promote our crock pot menus ebook, because I don't do it that much. I guess I need to start doing it more, but I just cook in the oven.
And they don't realize too that if you want the convenience kind of a crock pot, the low on a crock pot is 250 in your oven, the highest 350. So all what you have to do, you can put that same food in the oven at 250 and leave it for the same amount of time that the recipe calls for in your oven. I like it better too in the winter because I didn't mean to get on crock pot cooking this time, but
sorry.
But well, it was my fault. But in the winter, by having that oven on, it's a double whammy. It keeps my kitchen warm. And my house is small enough, it can make a big difference. So I get even more savings that way. So be careful in always doing the crock pot stuff because it saves you time and money. It doesn't always do that. But if it's working for you and it's keeping you from going out to eat, do it.
Yeah.
So then the next thing I was going to do is the next thing you need to do. It's not like I'm saying do 30 menus, doing 2 weeks of menus. I hated making menus. When people would tell me you've got to sit down and make 2 weeks worth of menus, I just had a mental block.
Oh, there's no way I could do that.
It just blocked. But I am going to say, if you can take a paper and write down 5 convenient menus, and I'm going to give them all to you right now. And like Tara said, we've got them in the book. Some of them in the book and that. And then I'm giving you some extras so you can rewatch this video if you don't catch them all. And so you don't even have to use the brain work on this. All you have to do is just write.
And we have, I don't know how many more other ebooks that are all menus. We have menus from Dining on a Dime, which are menus that we made up using only recipes in Dining on a Dime. We have Crock Pot Menus ebook that has the menus and the recipes. We have the Leftovers menus, where you can use up all your leftovers. We have that ebook. We have quick and easy menus. We have a huge selection of menus for you to choose from. So I'm going to put all those in the description below.
And this thing too is on our website. For 10 years, every week I came out with a brand new menu for 10 years.
Hundreds of menus on our website.
That's like 52 every year for 10 years. What's that? 520 menus on the website alone
with the recipes. You don't even have to look up the recipes.
Yeah,
so stop making excuses that this is too hard, guys. I mean, seriously, it's an excuse.
Ideas, to go with those menus, how to make them easier and stuff. So, it's not that complicated. I'm just asking you to do 5, and it would be even better if you could do 10, but just do the 5. And people don't realize, you say, oh, well, 5, that's not very many. But let's say you did 10 menus, just wrote down simple, and I'm going to give you at least 10 today. I say minimum of 5, but 10 if you can. My family, my parents, my parents would too, but my family would get sick of only 10 menus over and over. No, it's been proven that your family eats the same 10 their 10 favorites. They have 10 favorites, and they eat this, like having the same thing over and over again. And if you think about it, if you had 10 menus, there's 30 days. That's why I'm saying put pen to paper. There's 30 days in a month. You have 10 menus. You only eat those menus 3 times a month. 3 menus scattered out a whole month, 30 days. That's not going to wear you out on them.
Yep.
So, let's start with the 5, and you should be able to get 10 maybe, but at least do the 5 to start out with. Now, some of the things I'm just going to, if this is okay, Tara, I'm just going to go through some.
Yeah, because people want to know exactly what we eat. So what I thought is you go through your 5, and I'll do 5 or 10 of what we eat as an example of actual food we eat. So go for it.
Okay. First, on the very top of the list should just be frozen pizza.
It's okay.
And it's actually healthy. It's got 1 cup of tomatoes, not a cup, a quarter cup. That's not very much. That's like 4 tablespoons of tomato sauce. It's equal to 1 vegetable. Mm-hmm. So you've got your tomato sauce, you've got your grains, you've got your cheese, your dairy, mm-hmm. You've got, sausage, pepperoni, you've got your meat on there, your protein and all that.
And if you're worried about it, slice up an apple and put it on the side.
Yeah. Well, you could do that, or get a bag. Now, another thing, I'm gonna mix some of these up a little bit. You can mix and match these things as I tell them to. A bag of the lettuce that's already chopped in the bag. Toss that on the bowl. If you want to be really barbaric and mom's laying dying on the couch from some horrible illness, the dad and the kids can grab hands full of lettuce and throw it on their pet plate. I mean, I don't suggest doing that. You can tell we've been really, really sick before, but you can have the bags of lettuce, and they have carrots in there and cabbage and good stuff in there that you can get now. Mm-hmm. And put that with the pizza. And what you do is you put the pizza in the oven, pull it out of the freezer, put it in the oven. You go in and you change your clothes after work, or if the baby needs its diaper changed real quick, come back in and the pizza's going. You set the table with your paper plates and get your lettuce out and your. Mm-hmm. How long does that take? 5 minutes, 10 minutes to do this, and the pizza's ready. Yep. So keep 2 or 3 pizzas in your freezer.
And that's what I do. I keep pizzas on hand for those days where, like today, I already know I'm doing this recording with you. I already told people I'd do a soap show. So now I got to go do soap after dealing with the school. And I know I'm going to be a dead person tonight. And so it's going to be pizza. And I'm okay with that. And guess what? We are living to tell about it.
You know what's so ironic? I get more people telling me how healthy I look. And how healthy. I'm a walking, talking preservative, and they tell me.
And it's not like my teenagers would love to eat the entire pizza themselves. I don't let them do that. I let them eat 2 or 3 slices, usually 2, and I say you can eat an apple, or we can open a can of peaches, or something like that. Don't let them do it. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fine, because you're saying all the stuff, the same type of thing. Another thing that's good is to just keep hot dogs and hot dog buns on hand. Mm-hmm. I mean, it takes no time. You can pull that out. You can throw in a container of yogurt. You could throw in a container cottage cheese, slice up a tomato, slice up a cucumber. I'm not saying do all of this, but pick and choose, You can just slice up a tomato with the hot dogs. Throw in a pan of frozen French fries or frozen tater tots into the oven. So what you do is you walk in, you put your foil on the pan, put your frozen French fries, stick them in the oven. Go in and change your clothes, change the baby's diaper, whatever, get the kids done from school. Walk back in, set the table, put the hot dogs in the microwave. You can even boil them in a pan, which I like because it tastes pretty good. But if you're really quick, put them in the microwave. Set them on the table with the sliced tomato and the cottage cheese or the yogurt. And you've got a perfectly good meal. The French fries come out about that time. Another thing, those French fries are great, or tater tots. You can make a whole meal out of the French fries. You can take there's some things that I like to keep on hand, and that one of them is grated cheese. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Keep grated cheese. I like to keep packets of cooked hamburger in the freezer.
Yeah.
And I'll mention couple other things that I like to keep on hand. But anyway, so those French fries, you throw them in the oven, you come back in, you take your grated cheese, and people can mix and match what they want. Maybe you take out your packet of frozen hamburger or a can of chili.
Mm-hmm.
Pour that can of chili on the French fries, sprinkle it with cheese, put some jalapenos
You
if
have a
your
whole
family
meal.
likes. You've got the whole meal.
Yeah.
A whole meal right there. And it took you how long to open those cans and those bags up?
Yeah.
5-10 minutes tops, and to set the table.
Yep.
So, do these. I remember going to great grandma's house, and she would put what seemed like a feast to me. She'd ask me to stay for lunch or dinner, and she wouldn't have anything maybe cooked, but she would grab cottage cheese. She would chop up a little tomato in it. She'd open a can of peaches and set that on the table. She usually had carrot sticks or celery. That's another thing, have a bag of the baby carrots.
Yep. She always had bread and butter.
She would then put a stack of bread and butter with maybe some jam, apple butter, or honey on the table. Sometimes she would just set out a plate of hard-boiled eggs.
Or she'd set out a plate of ham, deli ham with cheese and lettuce and a sliced tomato and bread, and there you go.
She'd set out a bowl of dill pickles or sweet pickles. And it was like a feast, and all of it came out of a can or a jar that took her all of 10 minutes to dump together. And I thought it was wonderful. So you don't have to do a lot of cooking. These ideas are perfect for summer too.
Yeah.
To do for summertime. So another thing I like to keep is hard-boiled eggs. If you're going to boil up some eggs, boil up a pan of hard-boiled eggs, like a dozen. You can take them in your lunch with you to save on lunches. Throw in a couple hard-boiled eggs. You can make a chef salad. Once again, my family loves chef salad, especially in Kansas in the summer. You can get your bag of lettuce, chop up a tomato. You've already got your hard-boiled eggs cooked in there if you've done them all together. Cut a couple of those up to put on there. Get your cold cuts of ham or whatever, and turkey if you have it. Put that on it, and voila, another 10 minutes or less. You don't even have to chop up the lettuce. Just toss it together. I like to go by, and here's another thing you can use, is I like to go by, like now it's the week before Easter, they have hams on sale everywhere. I will go get a pre-cooked ham. I don't even get one that's cooked. I get a pre-cooked one because they're on sale, but it's still cheaper than going out to eat. And I take it straight to my butcher. I go to Kroger?
Yeah,
Kroger store?
Kroger.
And I take it to my butcher there, and I give him this ham, and I say, will you slice half of it in quarter-inch slices, and the other half will you cube it up and dice it up in small cubes? He says, sure. He does even that work for me.
Yeah.
So now I've got this ham that I can either make ham sandwiches out of it someday and add French fries, tater tots to, or even pull out a bag of chips if I need to, a can of peas to go with it, a can of pears to set on the table, and I'm good to go. So I can use it that way. I could make up scrambled eggs and take some of the diced ham and put in with the scrambled eggs, add slices of orange, or add a glass of orange juice, some toast, and you could even do the ham on the side if you wanted to, and I've got a meal. So get that, use your butcher. Those diced ham, that would be perfect on the chef salad. It's already diced and ready to go. You just toss it on the chef salad.
Good in a pasta salad too.
Yeah. And that's another thing. A pasta salad is really good for the ham.
You could make up a bowl of pasta salad. Keep it in your refrigerator for a week and just eat that with lunch and switch in fruits and vegetables. Yeah.
Well, I was going to do pasta salad too. What I was going to say is you put the pan of water on when you walk in the door and get the water started boiling. Go in and change your clothes. I'm just giving you the walkthrough so you can see how long this doesn't take. Change your clothes. When you get back, the water's boiling. Throw your elbow macaroni, your whatever spiral, whatever kind of you want to use for your pasta salad. Throw it in the pan. While it's cooking, get the bowl out. All you have to do is chop up a tomato. If you've got carrots, chop them up a little bit. 5 minutes worth of chopping of fruits and, a handful of vegetables. And you only need to do 2 vegetables if you want. Do tomatoes and a carrot and you're done chopping if you want.
You don't have to have 15 vegetables
No,
for every
just
meal.
do 2. Just chop up a tomato and a little bit of carrots and use the baby carrots. You don't have to clean, peel them.
Mom, I think we need to get us a little paddle with the hand so we can go head slap. Head slap.
Yeah. I know.
Because I just want to go.
Just do the 2 vegetables, and then by that time you set the table. The pasta's already cooked. Dump it in with the vegetables. Sprinkle some of that grated cheese I said to keep in the refrigerator.
Add some Italian dressing, and you're done.
Yeah, or mayo. I put mayo on mine, or sprinkle some onion and garlic salt on it, or powder and salt, and you're good to go. That's under 10 minutes.
Yeah, or if you want it warm, add a jar of Alfredo sauce. Or, any kind of sauce that you like that's similar to that.
But, add the Alfredo sauce that comes in a jar. And if you had some cooked chicken in the or thing of canned chicken, toss that in. And you've got a full meal with a bag of lettuce or a couple of sliced apples sitting on the table or something like that.
Yeah.
So another thing, too, is the eggs. I keep talking about the eggs. If your family likes... egg salad sandwiches. Takes no time at all to chop up an egg salad sandwich, and you've got that you can once again add with a container of yogurt. I'm trying to think. You could open up a can of green beans to go with that, or peas.
Yep.
You could also add grab some frozen broccoli out of the freezer, frozen cauliflower out of the freezer, nuke it in the microwave, sprinkle some cheese on it, the grated cheese again, and you've got a full meal with egg salad and a thing of broccoli and some tater tots, throw some tater tots in and that type of thing. Now, I like to do baked potatoes. They don't take, if you're at home, what you can do is clean up the baked potatoes, wrap them in the foil. I rub mine with butter and a little bit of salt and wrap them in the foil.
Or bacon grease.
Or bacon grease, either one is really yummy. And I rub them, put them in foil, and I have them sit in the refrigerator that morning. So then, a couple hours before dinner's going to be, I just put them in the oven and I forget about them. And there comes supper time, I can get one of my ham slices, grab the baked potatoes out. I can add some applesauce.
Or like a leftover roast. You could use leftover roast and just add fresh baked potatoes and.
Exactly. So it's very, very simple. The thing is, write these down on a list, because part of our problem is we can't think. We can't think. So write down, and I think it might be even easier if you wrote 5 main dishes and 5 salads. Do it like that if you can. If you can't do anything else, just get the main dishes down. And then to grab a can of pineapple and sprinkle, and a can of mandarin oranges, mix them together and sprinkle some coconut, and you've got a fruit salad instantly.
Yep.
Okay? Another thing to keep a lot on hand is deli meats or cold cuts, because you can, if nothing else, make sandwiches. You can, if it's turkey, you can put it on, like I said, the chef salad, and add it to things like that. I like to keep packets of the hamburger. What I do is I fry up some hamburger and I divide it up in packets the size that I'll use for one meal, for whatever size my family is. And you could have that in there, and you can buy taco shells they're already fried. I used to have to fry them in oil from scratch.
I know.
Heat your oven up, stick the shells in there, have your packet, and then you've got that famous grated cheese that's still in there. Take your lettuce from the bag of lettuce.
Cheese makes the world a better place.
It does. I know it does. You've got your bag of lettuce, and you've got tacos. Throw in some tortilla chips with salsa. Full meal right there. You can buy some flour tortillas. Grab a can of refried beans, add your grated cheese again, roll them up, and you've got, add salsa, tortilla chips, Slice up a tomato, cucumber, you got a full-fledged meal.
Yep.
And slice up some green peppers, red peppers. I'm just mentioning that, but those are some other vegetables you could easily slice. So another thing, grilled cheese sandwiches with tomato soup. How simple can that get?
Mm-hmm.
And those are comfort foods. People actually pay, I can't believe this, people actually pay money in restaurants.
$8 for a grilled cheese sandwich. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
They pay to have a grilled cheese sandwich. Like, I can't even calculate that in my brain.
It's
Cannot
not
calculate
even a function. And even if you want all the cool cheeses, go buy the cool cheeses and make yourself a grilled cheese sandwich. This is not rocket science, people.
I know. And if you want to kick it up a notch, add one of those slices of ham with the cheese and make a grilled cheese sandwich. It's just endless. Which
$8.
Yeah. So you could do the grilled cheese sandwich with the tomato soup and add some of your little baby carrots in a bowl.
Slice up an apple, slice up some cucumbers with some ranch, slice up peppers.
Yeah. You're good to go. You're good to go. So now one thing we haven't mentioned yet, and that is have breakfast at night. I used to make the pancakes and waffles up myself, but you can buy them frozen now, and that's still cheaper. Remember, this whole thing, I know these seem more expensive, but the whole object of this is to buy the convenience foods so you can stop going out to eat as much to save money. So buy the waffles, the frozen pancakes, and you can just warm those up. You can get sausage patties, the little link sausages. Serve that once again with like some applesauce or orange juice,
or even frozen blueberries, frozen strawberries, frozen peaches, frozen mangoes, any of those kinds of things.
Yeah, you can do any of the frozen berries you want just to throw on top of them and add to them and that type of thing. And you've got a really fast meal. Once again, scrambled eggs, of course, you can do. I've already mentioned those, for a meal and everything. Or even like the sliced ham. If you've got the frozen waffles, frozen pancakes, grab out a piece of that sliced ham and warm up and serve with those things. So it's really, really simple. One other thing, you can do this sometimes if you happen to be at the store whenever, or you're going to Walmart and you could use it the next day. Buy a deli chicken at like Walmart. Okay? Now, you can not only use that for a meal, but you could take, after you use it for the main meal for one time, if you have some pieces left over, you don't have to chop, you don't have to cut. What I would do is just pull some chunks of chicken off of it, put it between some bread with mayonnaise, add a chunk of lettuce, and you've got a chicken sandwich. You don't have to do adding the grapes and the olives and not grapes, but the grapes and the almonds and chicken and do all this fancy chicken salad stuff. You see all these menus or recipes for fancy chicken salads. Those things are good and wonderful, and if you got time and you feel like it, go for it. But I'm talking survival kind of mode here, and you just yank that meat off of there and you slap it on some bread with some mayonnaise and let your teeth do the chopping and chewing, basically. And you can do that. And then just add tater tots with cheese sprinkled on them, some cauliflower. If you have the time and you want, you could slice up a cantaloupe to serve, or a bunch of grapes. Just throw some grapes on a plate, green and red grapes or something on a plate. There's another menu. Look at how many things we've already gone through.
Yep.
And all of them can be, that's way more than 5 menus that I've given you. They can all mix and match, to do different things. Yep. So did you want to do some of yours, or?
Well, so I'll just run through a couple that we do real quick, just because people want to know what we eat. So what I'll do is I'll make a roast one day, which takes me literally 3 minutes. I did a video, you can see, it's like 3 minutes long it takes me to make. So I'll throw a roast.
Because you do that in the crock pot usually, don't you?
No, well, I do it in the oven or the crock pot. It just depends on the day. If it's in the summer, I'll do it in the crock pot. If it's in the winter, I'll do it in the oven, because the crock pot doesn't heat up the house quite as bad as the oven. Mine doesn't, at least. But crock pots do add a lot of heat, though. So don't say they don't add heat, because they do.
I know.
So I'll cook up a roast one night. and then I'll throw in my potatoes and my carrots in there, and that's dinner. Then the next night I'll make beef and noodles, or I'll make beef stroganoff, or something like that. And then the third night I'll do something like a stew or a hearty vegetable soup kind of dinner, and then we have a soup with that.
And you can make sandwiches out of roast beef sandwiches
make
too,
roast
for
beef
lunches.
sandwiches. Yeah. You guys really need to get our leftovers. We need to start promoting our plan ahead leftovers more, because it's not about leftovers. It's about cooking ahead to save yourself time.
Yeah.
And then what we'll do is Mike could eat Mexican food for every single meal. So we have a lot of Mexican food. So like I'll get a can of olives, get them all chopped up, get the onions chopped up, get a thing of sour cream, chop up the tomatoes, chop up the lettuce, and keep that in the fridge. And then 2 or 3 times a week, we'll have either tostadas or tacos or fajitas or burritos or something like that. And
once again, if you need to make it more convenient, you can buy chopped olives, even though they're more expensive. You can buy the bag lettuce again. You get the grated cheese and have it in there. So, but go ahead.
So, it's not a lot of work, guys. Like I said, I rarely spend more than 15 minutes on dinner, and usually it's like 10 minutes. Really, I do not have the energy to cook huge meals. And if you guys watch our live shows, sometimes we're fumbling around for things to talk about because I'm done with the recipe in 5 minutes, and I'm like, but you guys wanted to know.
Yeah, so. You made that egg brunch casserole the other night. Last night? What was it? 5 minutes?
Not even 5 minutes. Oh my God. And and if you're worried about it, use your chopped ham that's already cooked. Don't bake up the bacon, or buy bacon bits. It's okay. It's like Mom said, we're trying to get you guys to stop eating so much. So
much out.
Yeah, so much out.
Or so much too.
Out. So then on other nights, what I'll do is I'll fry some chicken, not fried chicken. I'll grill chicken, or I'll cook it in the frying pan, like a chicken breast with seasoning on it. I'll either grill it or put it in the pan. I'll chop up some cucumbers and green peppers and carrots. I buy baby carrots already done. Throw them on the table with some ranch dressing. I'll open a can of applesauce, or I'll slice some oranges or apples, whatever fruit is in season. If it's mangoes in season, I'll cut up mangoes, that kind of thing, for another meal. Then for some nights, we will just do super simple. So I'll fry a ham piece, and I will add some French fries or some hash browns or some tater tots. Throw those in there, and again, just slice up some apples, oranges, or vegetables, and have that. I don't do hard cooking, and I'm going to start doing a couple of videos of me cooking dinner, just because people make this too hard. Don't make it so hard.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I forgot one thing too, is spaghetti sauce. Keep canned jars of spaghetti sauce. And, once again, you set the water on boiling with the noodles, and you change your clothes. And then you can buy French bread to go with it that's already buttered with garlic on it that you can keep and slice.
Yeah, and have a salad. Or I get all the time people say, oh, that's too many carbohydrates. Just like, it is not. It is portion control. You're not letting one kid eat the entire loaf of French bread. Come on.
People don't realize that they say you're supposed to have anywhere from 11 to 15 servings of grains a day.
I know. Grains give you energy.
Exactly. And that's why people are eating more, too, between the fat and the carbs that they're getting out of their diet. It makes them hungry. Yeah. Carbs are more satisfying. Yeah. So you can eat a small portion of that, where instead they're eating a huge portion of maybe a lot of other things that have more calories in the long run.
So
and they can't figure out why they're gaining weight.
Yeah, so do a small serving of spaghetti, chop yourself up some vegetables, get the kids some applesauce or peaches or whatever, and you have a very healthy meal. Do not email me and tell me it's not healthy, because that is a lie. It really is. And, we're going to get people, well, I can't eat sodium and all that. If you're on a special diet, you have to adjust it to what you need to. But use your brain and figure it out. You can get Frozen fruits and vegetables. I buy the frozen vegetables all the time. We throw them in the microwave, put some butter and salt on them, and we're good to go.
Well, here's another thing. We have given enough examples of chopping up fresh vegetables, of chopping up fresh fruit, of doing pineapple and, stuff together. There's enough examples. You just need to pick and choose what will fit to your diet.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of what we have is that obsession with food now. We don't listen. People automatically don't listen to what we're saying because they think, well, I'm on a special diet, so none of this will work for me. Instead of thinking, is there anything in that they're saying that I could pick a little tidbit out and use?
And I know I'm going to get 50 people emailing me and commenting saying, well, I'm diabetic. I can't eat all those carbohydrates. Go buy a spaghetti squash, lop it in half, scoop out the seeds, and throw it on the pan and roast it. It is not hard. I have done that before. I had to be on a diabetic diet with my pregnancy. I totally understand. But this is not hard to figure out.
No, and we're giving examples like slice the tomatoes, slice the cucumbers, get the cauliflower, get the broccoli out.
Yeah.
People just don't, they make it harder. For some reason, they want to make this harder than what it really is. And you can adjust any diet. This is where I get frustrated with all the special diets. I'm gluten-free, I'm sugar-free, I'm this free. You can adjust any of the tips we give you. You can adjust them to your diet. You don't want to take the time to figure out how to adjust them. You want us to do all the work for you so you can just sit there, sometimes and say, well, make it, no.
Yeah.
I'm left-handed. Okay, I'm left-handed. And I could have spent my whole 65 years saying, well, how is a left-handed person supposed to do this? I don't. I figure out how I can do it on my own without making everybody else.
You use the right-handed scissors just fine.
I know, yes.
You have a mirror behind your coffee mug so you can see the other side.
Because they always print on the opposite side of the mug to put the printing and the pretty stuff on the wrong side of the mug for me.
All right. Well, anyway. I hope that gives you guys some ideas. Mom, hold up our book, our dining on.
One thing too, you can have cereal. You already mentioned this.
Yeah.
You can have cereal. If you're sick, we went one time. I think we spent a month eating nothing but cereal because the chronic fatigue. I could not drive to the store, and I had nobody to bring us food. So, and we'll look at, like you said, we live to tell about it. So here's the
check
book.
out our Dining on a Dime cookbook. All these tips are on page 11 to I think 13 or 14, somewhere around there.
And that's just a couple because then we've got leftovers, and we've got another thing like Picky Kids, how to do for picky eaters, menus for that. And those, don't just look and see the picky eaters and think, well, I don't need that. That's some good, easy, simple. Those are really simple foods to do.
And one other tip that we didn't mention. Okay, we're done after this one. Don't make special meals for each member of your family. Unless there is a certain, like, you're going to die if you eat peanut butter, that's fine. I'm not talking about that. If you are special ordering, if your kids are special ordering every single meal and you're making all your kids something different, no. We make dinner. This is dinner. If you don't like it, you're not eating dinner. And that's it. And they don't get any snacks or anything. But this mom making a grilled cheese for one, pancakes for another, tomato soup for another. I mean, don't do that. That's not okay.
And one more quick thing, too. I know we're stopping. But if you say, well, my husband won't put up with that or my kids won't put up with that. Fine. Say, you can cook dinner.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Stop. I hear.
And remind your husband who's making $20 an hour that he has to work 25 to 30 hours because this is after tax money. This isn't before tax money. He has to work 25 to 30 hours to pay for going out to eat if that's what he wants to do. That is a half a week's income.
Yeah. So, so just tell him, well, if you want it, if you don't like this, then you can start cooking.
Yeah.
Or earn more money to help. But I can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound mean and hateful, and you can do it in a loving way.
Yeah.
And hopefully you have enough of a relationship with your husband that he cares enough about you that he's going to say,
And
that
if
he
he
wouldn't say it in the
doesn't,
first place.
then you need to cook those meals so you can pay for your counseling.
I was going to say that you need counseling. But anyway, so yeah,
All right.
we even have a chunk of leftovers where you did the
Yep.
leftover stuff in the book on how to do that.
Yeah,
and
we have
everything.
a whole index. Nobody knows this, but we have a whole
Yeah.
index that starts on page. It starts on page
454.
454 on recipes that use your leftovers. So let's say you make a roast and you don't know what to make with the roast the next days. We have the recipes already in there to show you how to make the roast.
This lists all the recipes you can go to in the book to use your leftovers.
How many roast recipes are there? Let's see. Where are we? So like onions. There are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24 recipes that use leftover onions. We have 4 recipes that use leftover hams. We have 7 recipes that use leftover eggs or use eggs.
Or use leftover rice, leftover soda.
Yeah.
Leftover, mixed vegetables.
We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26 recipes using beef and leftover beef. So check it out, guys. Seriously, we made a really good
applesauce. We have recipes how to even use leftover if you have that little bit of left in there. Bananas, we got all kinds.
Yeah.
We never put that, do we? And that's a good section.
Yeah, I need to start promoting that more. Or if we do videos, we need to start promoting it more. So, all right, check out our Dining on a Dime cookbook and all of our other cookbooks, guys. They're in the description below. You can get a link to all of them. We will catch you next time. Please give us a thumbs up, like, share, comment, share with your friends, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.